What up? Welcome back to the solar system series known as Fixed Fire, where we talk about the only fixed fire sign in this ecliptic, known as Leo. Anyways, let's get to it. Based off the title of the video, you can infer that this little tirade that we're going on today will be Jupiter in Leo, right? And naturally, we're supposed to expand upon things, so of course I'm supposed to go off on tangents. Of course I'm supposed to get real deep into situations. Of course I'm supposed to see a bunch of different perspectives. Anyway, it's Jupiter. It's Jupiter in Leo. And the reason why you're going to hear about it and see about it is because Leo draws a bunch of attention to whatever planet it's placed in, whether that planet likes it or not. Because, as you know, when I go like this, that's because just like what I'm doing with all the planets and the signs, I'm looking through a specific lens, a specific means to go through experience. Anyways, let's get into Jupiter. So, Jupiter is the planet of expansion through experience, which can create knowledge or wisdom through actually going through a situation and gaining your, your understanding of how to deal with the situation. And as you may have heard from my other videos, there's such thing as the understanding, the understanding, and the overstanding. And combining the two is kind of what creates true knowledge and wisdom and authority over a given subject, right? Now, an understanding is, as I mentioned, you going through a situation and knowing it for yourself. And an understanding is you learning an external means, say like by reading a book or watching a YouTube video and just gaining some basic knowledge about a subject, right? You know, you can look at an understanding as more of a Mercury situation and an understanding as a Jupiter situation. Except the whole understanding is kind of predicated on you actually going through that experience and thinking at it and gaining meaning and reasonings for yourself, which is what Jupiter rules over. So, with that being said, let's talk about Leo a little bit. Leo was born from the fifth house. The fifth house is just the broad house, is the house correlated to the sun. It's the broad house that just basically deals with light and how you emit it and intake it for yourself, whether that be through entertainment, what you're entertained by, and how you entertain others, right? And then on top of that, it has a little bit with dealing with children because, they're luminous beings for the time being. And what else? They're kind of just, it's just expression in general. Anyways, moving on a little bit, we have to talk about the modality and element behind Leo, which is fixed fire, being fixated on your own way of seeing and feeling about things, which basically goes down to it boils down to just perspective in general. You're in your fixed space looking at this from this angle, and that's how you feel about it. That's how you see it, you know what I'm saying? And then we also have it being ruled by the sun, the planet of expression, and then also how you consciously see from the world is what people consciously see from you, which is the vehicle you express through. And then we also have it being away in Saturn. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, restrictions, and limits, as well as how one sees reality. Leo, you can look at it as Leo wanting to go towards its vision, regardless of how reality plays out, right? So, with all that information marinating, let's jump into the actual traits of a Jupiter and Leo person. So, with Jupiter being in Leo, it basically, you're basically just like, anytime you get kind of like this lightning bolt strike or that light bulb moment in your head where you're like, oh, I never saw a vision that way, a Leo would kind of just exalt this vision and be like, oh my god, my light bulb moment is the craziest thing ever, it's sort of like, you can look at this as sort of like a Leo in the third house type of situation, where it may not always be basic ideas because it's Jupiter and it's how you expand and how you dive into things, but it's kind of like, it sort of does the same thing where I like to say it's like, if you were in school and you didn't really understand basic ideas and somebody was like, yo man, how would you not understand the most simplest physics equation of them all? F equals ma, force equals mass multiplied by acceleration, right? Like, if the Jupiter Leo person heard that and they really needed to expand into, what this meant, they may focus on this only little aspect of equations and just be like, oh my god, equations help you just freak you things out? And, it is a simple, already pre-contoured, pre-structured form of math that we could get answers that we need? This is crazy! And, and then they may just dive into this entire, dabbling thing of equations without actually really, with its Jupiter, they will dive in and, actually apply it and see how it works for themselves. But it may just be, a simple aspect that'll kind of contain them to that part of a subject, rather than, looking at the subject as a holistic, a holistic sort of study the way, maybe a Sagittarius would. Since it's Leo, it's only going to focus on this aspect of the subject. And, you can expand it a little bit and maybe they'll focus on this subject, like a singular subject in general. But you know, to each their own. They'll move on when the time's ready, you know. Like I've been saying, man. They're the freaking fireplace, you know. They're the freaking chimenea. They're the freaking like bonfire that never moves. You know what I'm saying? Like they just stay in their own lane. They watch what they watch, and that's it. You know, they will expand in that area as much as they want, but why they kind of don't do so well in Jupiter is because they stay in that specific area. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's move on to Netflix and all the streaming services, for example. A Jupiter and Leo person may only focus on one streaming platform and one little aspect of that streaming platform to begin with. Say if they're on YouTube, right? A Jupiter and Leo person may stumble across DIY, tell somebody it's the most amazing thing in the world, but then only focus on this aspect of it. Oh, wait, no, I know what to talk about. You know those little, like, those YouTube videos where it's kind of like, it's those just, like, dudes down in South America digging out their freaking millionaire pools? They will literally only focus on like that aspect of DIY if they're a Jupiter and Leo person, and literally watch all of those videos and understand how to do that, and maybe even get to the point of starting to build their own little underground pool in their backyard, but they won't necessarily finish it, you know, because Leo falls in Saturn. It doesn't really like to actually follow through on the reality of the work process. So this is why Leos only focus on their one little aspect that actually aligns with their vision, because their vision is what they want to focus on. Their perspective is what they want to dive into and expand upon. You know, it's weird because it's only like they're fixating on this little thing, you know, and it's like they feel like they're expanding in that own little area, but in reality they're not really expanding into that far. So when when a person actually comes up to them and they're like, hey, I know you see this, but have you heard this, this, and this? They could go two ways with this. They could either, if this is, you know, a form of structure, they're coming at it with a Saturn way of like, hey, you know, the reality, if they, like, obviously, like, they could use some psychological words and just be like, hey, the reality of this situation is, no, this is not the whole picture, and I don't know why you're expanding upon this. They would probably, like, if someone came up with them with that, like, realistic Saturn-like energy that's just, like, you know, a stern old father that's like, you know, farming is the way. This is the only way you can survive and be self-sustainable. Fuck that homesteading. That's not even, you know, that's not even the full picture of what we're doing. You know, you need to focus on this, 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 and this. And they come up to a Jupiter and Leo person with that energy. A Jupiter and Leo person may shut that person out and be like, no, fuck you, man. Like, I want to do my vision. I want to stick to what I'm doing. This is where my energy's at. But if someone came up to them in, like, a more Leo fashion of where it was like, hey, man, this is the, you know, if you really like this, you'll like this, 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 and this, and here's why. It's cool, cool, cool. Do you see the vision of what I'm saying? You know, like, it's really, you could really come up with this Jupiter and Leo person in, like, any type of fashion. You just have to know where their own alignments are at, because it doesn't really matter about the idea you're presenting to them as much as you actually sort of take that, like, fifth housey approach and just be like, hey, 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 you know what I'm saying? Like, woo, light, look at it, look at this right here, keep following the light, keep following the light, you know? You just gotta go in with that. But obviously not directly, like, following the light like I just did, like a dickhead, but, like, you know, you just gotta, you know, you gotta know how to present it, man. You know how to make these things center stage. This is what they actually appreciate, you know? They probably, the reason why they would follow a single aspect of these DIY situations is because of the pure, you know, the pure vision behind, like, the word, like, millionaire, and saying having a millionaire underground swimming pool. Because they may be aligned with more of the chauvinistic, like, hey, look at me aspects, just like I mentioned. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, that's pretty much it for my little rundown about Jupiter and Leo. Of course, there's more ways you can expand upon it. It's a Jupiter placement, but just if you listen to what I said, you can glean the little topics of how you can expand on it for yourself. And now, you know, with you doing this for yourself in mind, let's break it down a little bit, right? So we got Jupiter, the planet of expansion through experience. We have Leo, born from the fifth house. Hey, attention, look at me, and also them, like, you know, being able to give attention as well. Oh yeah, that's the point I was talking about. That's what I wanted to say. They don't, like, so if you were going to actually give them attention and show them like hey, you could look at this, they would be happy to, like, you know, exalt you and be like, oh my god, thank you so much for showing me this. This is actually what I wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you actually help them, they have no problem with giving attention. Just the way this fifth house, like, overarching, like, influence it has on Leo sort of creates it just creates this sort of vacuum for attention, where it's they want to receive it and they want to give it. And if it's something that really applies to their vision, they will expand into it voraciously because of that Jupiter placement. Anyways, back to the alignments a little bit. So Leo is whatchamacallit, it's fixed fire, being fixated on your own way of feeling and adding emotions. Not feeling and emotions, that's water. Feeling and seeing, on top of which is basically like your perspective and your fixed angle since it's a fixed sign. And then it is also ruled by the sun, and then it falls in Saturn, And anyways, that's that's about it for the fixed fire series. Thanks for following our fixed fire series, where we talk about the only fixed fire sign in this ecliptic known as Leo. Peace.